Hello. Today we're going to walk through inputting data for the GEO2 Cognition assessment. First off, let's look at the GEO itself. GEO2 Cognition has three competencies: problem solving, critical thinking and application, and quantitative reasoning. We've numbered these 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. Associated with each of these competencies is a rubric that was put out by the Association of American Colleges and Universities, and they are referred to as value rubrics, and they are available on the pccassessment.com website. Here we see one of the value rubrics, and at this point I'd like to emphasize that you're only being asked to assess one of your current courses. And for the course that you decide to assess, we're asking that you select one value rubric that you're going to use to score an assignment or a group of assignments. It's not necessary to score all of the aspects of cognition. We're looking for something that's a natural fit for your course. We can see that the problem-solving value rubric has several criteria on which students can be scored: define problem, identify strategies, propose solutions, etc., as does the critical thinking value rubric and the quantitative reasoning value rubric. These criteria are presented in eLumen, and once I have decided on an assignment for the course that I'm going to assess, and say 3 to 5 of the criteria that are in the value rubric, then I'm ready to enter my data into eLumen. To do so, I'm going to go to the LancerPoint login and then click on the Faculty tab at the top of the page, and then the Submit Your SLOs eLumen button in the middle of the page. You will most likely log in as faculty, and when you log in as faculty, what you will see is a list of your current courses together with a lot of assessments for which data can be entered. The way eLumen is working for us right now is that each of those rows on each of those value rubrics has its own assessment. We are not asking you to assess all of these. So suppose I've decided that I'm going to assess quantitative reasoning in one of my courses, in which I'm going to ask students to calculate, analyze, and communicate results. Since those are the third, fourth, and sixth rows in the quantitative reasoning value rubric, which we already had said is competency 2.3, in eLumen, I'm going to look at 2.3C calculation, 2.3D application and analysis, and 2.3F communication. And those are the only scores that I'm going to enter into eLumen. Notice at the bottom of this list I have my SLOs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that I'm going to use to perform my course SLO assessment at the end of the term. Whether I'm scoring students on a GEO assessment criterion or a course level SLO, the process is the same. So I'm going to click on calculation here. I can either click on the scorecard view or the rubric view, and I'll show you those differences in just a minute. Clicking on scorecard view gives me a bird's eye view of all of my students, and to enter scores for the students I can simply click on the numbers associated with the score for that particular student. If I hover over the word calculation over here, what I get is the description that's on the ACC&U value rubric. Alternatively, if I had gone to rubric view, then what I would see is the descriptions for the scores on the ACC&U value rubric, and I could click here any of these numbers to score this particular student. And I can work my way through this list of students by clicking their names on the left. I personally think that the scorecard view is a quicker way to go, especially if you have that value rubric in front of you and you know what each student has earned. Once all of the scores are entered, we're asking you to click Save and Continue to Action Plan, and then select the Cognition GEO Action Plan, which has prompts that will help us to analyze the data once it's been collected. The first prompt is listed up here. Please indicate the criteria for which you scored students and describe the assessment that you used to get this data. It doesn't need to be a detailed description, just an idea of what you used to generate the scores. That response would go into this text box, and then the next prompt is asking you to discuss the validity and reliability of the data you collected, again indicating which of the criteria that you scored students on. Briefly discuss why you think students did what they did, record suggestions for improving the process, and suggestions for improving student performance. Again, in each box, we're asking you to identify which criteria you scored students on. These text boxes only need to be filled out once, even though you may be scoring students on 3 to 5 criteria. Once you're finished, please click Submit, and you will have completed your GEO2 Cognition assessment. If you have any questions on any part of this process, then please use the contact information below.